Welcome, everyone. In addition to Oso Fumar Takes Take 252 tonight, we are doing something special for the Smoking Syndicate. This is a Smoking Syndicate cigar review of the Tatuaje Avion 13 Tuxtla, a fantastic cigar that series that Pete Johnson and Tatuaje released last year. 3 original releases in the Tuxtla line. They had of course, the Avion 13, the 7th Kappa, and the T110. All released in the Tuxtla family of last year's release and everything. So the Avion 13 is what we are going to be reviewing tonight, and of course it is it was of course made at the My Father factory in Nicaragua, and it is a Mexican San Andres wrapper over Nicaraguan binders and fillers. Again, manufactured at the My Father factory, blended by Pete Johnson. And the Vitola is a Figurado, 6 by 7/8 by 52, so a longer cigar, and box press. That's something else that's not really necessarily on the spec sheet. So we will be smoking that cigar tonight. And Ben, did I miss anything?
Price. You have that MSRP?
Yeah, so the MSRP on this should be believe, let's see. Yes, I do. It's $13.95.
Yeah.
So
And it was 13 something.
Considering a lot of the more expensive projects out there, that these special projects that we've seen a lot of manufacturers doing everything, this was I guess the mystique or regard that the Avion 13, which I know we'll get into at some point during the conversation, has to keep that moderate of a price point was something of note for me. I don't know how much it was for you.
Yeah, no,
So
it was for me too, and I was kind of glad to see this one go under that Tuxtla mantle with the other cigars too, because I always felt when this first came out, because originally when it came out with the Fausto and then like a Cita Criollo, and I always felt it kind of was like overshadowed by those two. Well, you didn't. I mean, I smoked them a lot. I know several people did, but the buzz was always with the Fausto or the La Casita Criollo, and I always felt like this one just kind of didn't get its due. It's fair, it's fair due. So I like to see it come back out. You tried with a Mexican San Andres wrapper, to see what it was like, how this would be with that wrapper. So I was really excited when I saw this coming, and especially for that price point, because we had talked about going to the trade show last year, was like how so many people were coming out with limiteds or even new lines that were starting, 15 up to $20, or even higher, some in the 30s. And it's like,
yeah,
where the hell we're going the wrong way? These are getting a
yeah.
little bit too expensive. So to see Pete release something like this, that's limited, it's limited runs every year, that it's at an approachable price point still, which was
Well,
really cool.
yeah, exactly. And the Tatuaje 7th was actually less expensive at $9.50, and the T110 was $10. And this was, and I misspoke earlier. I said 13.95 is $13.50 for the Avion. So $9.50. And these were limited releases, right? Like I won't call them limited editions, because there's Pete's done a lot of talking about bringing this back or having this kind of in his rotation of limited releases. 2,000 boxes of each. The T110, the 7th Tuxtla, and the Avion 13 were released. 25 cigars a piece, so 50,000 total in each block and everything. So yeah, I thought, but this isn't the only, like we were talking about, this isn't the only Avion 13. Like you had mentioned, when it was originally released with the Fausto and the Casito Criollo. So the original Tatuaje Avion was the 11, which was a 6 3/4 by 48 by 52, 2011. Undisclosed how many were actually released. Tatuaje Limited Series Avion 2012, which was a 5 5/8 by 42, so smaller, more like petite Figurado.
Yeah.
And then he did an Tatuaje Avion 2012, which again later released. So he did a limited series, and then he did a I guess a more regular limited. I don't know how he would define it. And then there was an Avion limited 7 1/4 by 52 in July of 13. This one was really limited, 970 bundles of 10 cigars, only 9,000 cigars released. That's pretty micro, even for Pete.
Yeah, I don't even know if I actually got that one. If I remember, I don't think I actually tried that one either.
Yeah. That's crazy. So, and then there's the Avion okay. So then this is an Avion 13 by name. So the Tatuaje Avion 13, 6 78 by 52. The original with your like the blend, August of 2013. And then he actually did this Tuxtla in the CRA Freedom Pack for 2022. He just didn't have the labels, apparently. But yeah, so like if you got the CRA Freedom Pack spring of last year, so about this time last year, the Tatuaje in that pack was this cigar. It just wasn't labeled as such, apparently.
Yeah, this CRA packs are pretty cool. They usually have some pretty good, cigars.
Yeah,
in
he's thrown pumpkins in there. He doesn't
Yeah,
mess around with that. He puts something good in there.
yeah. Fuentes do the same thing. They usually put something pretty nice in there as well. I mean, it's well worth the money for that we're
Oh
talking about
yeah.
the big sampler, the ones you can buy at the cigar shops. Man, those are worth every penny, I think.
Yeah, and a great cause, and crazy stuff. So all right. So Ben, where do we take it from here? Do we take a break? Do we
No,
light it up and then take the break, or how do we do
we're
this?
gonna light it up first, but
Okay.
I'll put it up to the camera here so you can see it. This cigar looks freaking gorgeous, man. This will probably be maybe eighth or ninth one of these I've smoked, and every single one of these has had such a beautiful wrapper on them. So smooth. Mine has a slight oily sheen, but it's not too oily. I mean, this cap is perfectly applied as well. I mean, it just looks like a damn chocolate candy bar to me, when I look at it. The nice soft box press. It looks fantastic. Taper
So
foot.
mine, I've smoked. This is actually, you said this you're the ninth one you smoked. This is probably this is my 11th, actually. Yeah, I had to check that earlier. This is my 11th. This is by far the ugliest one I've smoked. The wrapper's a little bit more rustic on mine. We went over that. We talked about this actually in the last two roundtables. Like, it doesn't bother me. But like I get what was Koopa saying that night we were smoking the Macanudo. Like, if you take the label off and everything, you just put that cigar next to another cigar that has a more pristine wrapper. Which one are you gonna take? So I got that argument, but I'll tell you what, man. Man, smelling the foot on this thing and the wrapper, dude, it is so freaking rich, man. That's like freaking Cocoa Puffs on a Saturday morning with cartoons playing in the background, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, you really get that kind of dusty cocoa note on it, and a nice woody note behind it as well. It's really, I mean, this is off. I mean, I love the aroma of this cigar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to actually cut this at an angle, like we talked about the other night, see how it does. And check my draw on that. There we go, at an angle. See how it does. I've never done that. I thought that was a really cool thing to introduce me to the other night.
I've always done it that way. I've always done it that way.
Perfect draw, milkshake draw. It's just amazing. And actually, the flavors I get on this is actually the same as the aroma off the wrapper in the foot. It's like a dry, dusty cocoa and really woody with a little hit of leather.
Yeah, I definitely get some leather like on the when you like kind of lick your lips a little bit.
Yeah, but to me, the dominant note is that cocoa, and it reminds me of like Nesquik or Ovaltine, the powdered stuff, you mix in with the milk. Like Ovaltine is the main one I think of because they give it to Aiden when he was little. He wanted, get his vitamins and minerals in, so I'd mix some Ovaltine in, make him chocolate milk.
Hmm.
It has that kind of that same dusty cocoa, scent that's on that, or like on, the little cans of Hershey's cocoa powder or whatever. It smells and get that flavor on it, and it's this aroma on the cigar is the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't get over how rich this cigar smells and like just the dry draw tastes a little bit. I'll get a little bit more. I still get a little bit of like dark fruit sweetness too. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, really just rich, kind of like, I don't know. It's not like cherry or anything like that, but it's just kind of like a more like like fig,
Yeah, like
like
almost like a
caramelized fig.
dark stone fruit kind of a flavor.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Fantastic.
Let's go ahead and light it up.
All right, sounds good. Let's do it. Do you toast the foot a
Yes,
lot?
every time,
Okay,
every
every
time.
time. Yeah, me too.
It actually takes me quite a while to light a cigar because I make sure that the foot is well toasted, and I don't even puff on it really until it's got a nice glow all the way around. Sometimes I don't even puff. I just make sure has a nice little, even burn, and then I start smoking. Kind of helps to keep it a little bit cool.
Yeah, I
Or
definitely toast more when I use a lighter. When I use a match, I toast it still, but I don't. Uh, I just don't have the patience to cool light with a match. It just takes forever.
yeah, with the match, I don't do that. I have a whole separate routine with the match. I just light it real slow and normal and just rotate it in my mouth while I'm taking some pulls and get the match going. Same with like a cedar spill or something like that. I do the same thing with
Yeah.
that. And of all ways to light a cigar, to me, those are the two at the top. I will always would rather use a match or a cedar spill than anything else I have. Always. And no other reason than tradition, honestly.
Well, that first couple of puffs were actually tight,
Yeah, because it
and
tapers at the
then
foot. Yeah.
yeah, and then but like now, like third puff in it, like loosened up completely. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I could get more airflow, but I don't consider it having the draw kind of getting loose. To me, it still has a good resistance to the draw.
Hmm.
It's just a little bit more airy now.
You know what cigar does that too? The original Neanderthal. You know, at that bell at the that bell at the end. I call it a bell, like an hourglass figure at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
So it's like clockwork, man. Those skip makes those things so consistent. Like three puffs, it's like it's tight, and then on that fourth one, it's like it almost pops and just opens and like goes like it's supposed to. It was kind of the same thing. It was like two puffs, bam, third puff, pop. It was crazy.
that's actually the line that they have that I smoke the least by far. It's not in my wheelhouse.
Right.
And
Yeah. It's totally not. Yeah. It's totally not in
yeah,
your range.
but let me tell you something. The ageability on those cigars is some of the most stunning of anything I've ever aged before. I mean, they get when you age them, they get more harmonious, a little bit more mellow, and I get
Yeah.
more flavor out of it when it ages. And I didn't know I didn't. So I bought when it first came out. I bought a box of Neanderthals, and I smoked a couple. I'm like, yeah, this is not
The
not
big
mine.
ass crate.
No. This was the when they released them first in the box, the regular boxes, 25 count boxes,
Okay.
little boxes. And I forgot the size of it now. The little short fat ones is what it was. Um, anyway, they come with the little razor in there. You're supposed to just cut the little top of it off or whatever. But anyway, I would smoke. I'm like, holy shit, this is too strong. It's too much Lajero. I can't do this. So what I originally was doing, I was kind of gifting them to people. I was giving them away. And when I moved, that was when I bought them when I lived in Houston. Then I moved to Tallahassee, and we got some shipments of the first Roma Craft shipments into the cigar shop my buddy owned, and everybody fell in love with the Neanderthal, but they all like super strong stuff. And we ran out. They ran out of them, and one guy would come in and buy 3 of them and smoke them back to back to back. I was like, never seen some shit like that in my life.
Jesus.
And yeah, it's while he would smoke. Then the other shipment hadn't come in yet. I'm like, that's okay, dude. I'll bring you a couple from. I have a box house. Somebody was smoking them. I brought him in. He's like, started to smoke, lit one up. I said, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "What?" He said, "Man, these are way better than the ones we've been smoking here." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, they got so much more flavor and they're so much smoother and mellower." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I went home that night and I lit one up, dude. It was like it's like a game changer, man. It was so much better of it was so much richer of a cigar that was kind of getting more into my wheelhouse. It was pretty cool.
Right.
So, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I like the way it ages for sure. I like that blend. It does. I think it does age. I think it like I mean I enjoy it. I enjoy it the way it is off the shelf, but I enjoy how it like age kind of takes the edge off a little bit.
oh yeah, that was one that was the most drastic change of any non-Cuban cigar that I've let age for a while. What I'm getting off this one is almost like the same as a cold draw. Some I'm getting is a lot of black pepper, and I get a lot of it when I road trail this cigar. Man, I can really feel it in my sinuses. This one has a pretty spicy retrohale for me, but I'm still picking up a little bit of that cocoa, the cedar. I'm getting that kind of like that plummy figgy kind of flavor you were getting, but to me it's real
Yeah.
faint. Like I'm not getting it too strong. But I'm getting black pepper now, and it's like I was getting something else.
You hear popping off in the background. They're like really going at it with the fireworks right now. My poor dog is like hugging my leg right now.
Next, but I'm also getting like a kind of a non. I don't know. I can't really describe there's a sweetness there it's not just a generic, sugary sweetness. There's something sweet that's coming in.
It's kind of like Mexican pastry, like what I call Mexican bread, like conchas, like
Yeah.
that sweet bread kind of
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, that kind of thing going on with I'm getting a faint little anise, like stir anise note. It has
Yeah.
that kind of licoricey bite to it.
I'm not really getting that, but that's a flavor that I don't necessarily have in my tackle box because I'm not a big anise flavor fan, you know.
Yeah,
So I don't have enough of experience like what that would probably pick that up in this cigar. But I
good stuff.
that it's almost like that cocoa is getting almost like to transform from that dry cocoa powder to almost like a milk chocolate. I mean, I think that's where maybe that sweetness is coming from in the beginning of the cigar. Yeah, this is off to a good start for me. I mean,
Yeah.
are we getting
I learned
anything else besides what we talked about besides that?
No, I think we've talked about that. So, um, do we take
Yeah.
a break here and then go after the first third?
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and smoke this to the end of the first third. We'll be back to give you our impressions. See you in a second.
And we're back with another well, not another edition. This is the first edition in collaboration of the Smoking Syndicate and Oso Fumar Takes. We're reviewing the Avion Tatuaje Avion 13 Tuxtla, and we've just made our way through the first third. So we're going to give our thoughts on the first third. So Ben, how's the Avion 13 Tuxtla smoking for you through the first third here today?
Me, it's really good. As this cigar burned down from our initial light to what it is now, I'm still getting a nice cocoa note. That's to me is the primary note. I get a little bit of leather, a little bit of a cedar note, but that dark fruit note that we were talking about earlier, Bailey, just you got it more than I did originally. I'm really getting it now, and it's like it's really intertwining well with the rest of the flavors in there. The black pepper, I got a little bit more on the front, but now as it's burning down, the black pepper is fading down a little bit. But I do get more of that in the retrohale. For me, the retrohale in this one's pretty strong. Like I can't really do much of a full retrohale in this one because I get a lot of black pepper for me, and it makes my sinuses go crazy. But I have sinus problems anyway, so that's kind of normal. And for me too, I get a medium to short finish on this. And I would say probably, I would say medium to full body strength and probably full flavor so far. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the full flavor. I think that was kind of like the thing for me right off the get. Interestingly, I'll tell you the flavor note that has not returned with this cigar. The cigar has a little bit, obviously this was in the original uh, uh, box that I purchased. So it has, I guess, has about a year of age on it, give or take. Um, and I thought what was really interesting about this particular cigar is that when I was first smoking it, there was a lot more, in addition to some of the flavors that I'm about to talk about and the ones that you've mentioned as well. I got it was a lot more heavy on the earthiness. Um, with the cigar that I'm smoking today, the experience that I'm having right now, the earthiness is there, but it's not as pronounced as it has been in my previous experiences. Not to say that neither one is good or bad. I just think it's a lot more complex with the age now than it was previously, especially particularly in the first third. Obviously, we've got two more thirds to smoke now. But I'm getting a lot of that rich kind of caramelized fig that we were talking about. It's really deep, very sweet, full flavored, as you mentioned. The retrohale is perfect for me. It is I do like a little bit longer of a finish. I think if you give it a try, Ben, you'll notice that spice dissipates pretty relatively quickly. It's still a more medium finish. It's not a short finish or anything. But the leather notes that I'm getting to, the 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 black pepper on the nose in particular. The other thing that I'm getting to, like I mentioned, a little bit of star anise, that's kind of dissipated. I haven't gotten that back since the first few puffs, so that bitterness is kind of gone. It's still very balanced, which I really enjoy. And it was a pretty good first third. I'm really excited to see what the second third does and to see if some of this complexity continues and differs from my other experiences too, which I enjoyed those initial experiences too. So it's something to look forward to for sure.
Yeah, because I know exactly what you're saying. Not so much with earthiness, but more of how the flavors of the cigar have changed with age. Because to me, I remember when we first got these in, and I was smoking them. It was the same flavors, but to me, they just like popped a little bit more. Right? They were a little bit more pronounced, and they weren't so harmonious with each other as they are now. To me, the flavors are still there, but they're kind of like they're much more nuanced and subtle is not the right words for this, but just they're more, it's just more harmonious. Like it seems like they're working all well together, and they're not so strong. Each flavor note. It's not as strong as it once was. So now it's a bit more mellowed and refined to me, to where it's got a better flavor profile overall than when we first got it, right? So,
Yeah.
which brings me to something else, but I think I'm gonna save it to the end when we finish the cigar about which one you like better. But yeah, I think the first turn's off to a good start. So, unless you have anything else you want to talk about for this one, I think we'll go into the
Yeah.
second third.
Yeah. We'll go into the second third for sure.
All right, so we'll go ahead and finish off the second third. We'll be back to let you know how it is. See you in a second.
Welcome back to another edition of the Smoking Syndicate cigar reviews here. We are doing a special collaboration today. We are also featuring this review on Oso Fumar Take 252. I'm Bear Duplessis here at the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studios of Azle, Texas, and I'm here with Ben Lee of the Tatuaje Studios of Black Mountain, North Carolina, and we're smoking a Tatuaje product. We're smoking the Tatuaje Avion 13 Tuxtla, which was released last year out of the My Father factory in Nicaragua. It's got the San Andres Tuxtla wrapper, and then it's got a binder and filler from Nicaraguan. So we're into the second third here. So here are our second third thoughts. Ben, how was that second third? How did that second third wrap up for you?
The second third for me got a little bit more savory and less sweet. Um, like I'm still getting some of the main notes. Like I'm still getting the leather and the cedar and the black pepper. The black pepper's kind of faded a little bit more into the background. But now, and I don't know if this is from our coffee talk earlier, but I'm getting that cocoa note. But to me, what it reminds me of now is that I'm getting like a little bit of a coffee bitterness in it, like an espresso. What it reminds me of
Mhm.
are the chocolate covered espresso beans. That's the kind of the flavor that I get now. It's really freaking tasty because I love those damn things. I really do. But that's kind of where that chocolate note and that coffee bitterness is kind of coming in, and it tastes really good. But it's kind of like I'm not getting really any of that dark fruit note, that stone fruit. Like it said figgy, but I was thinking more of like plummy kind of something like that. I don't really get that anymore. Like to me, it's completely gone for me. So basically, what I'm getting is that chocolate covered espresso bean, cedar, leather, a little bit of earthiness, and a little bit of black pepper. What about you?
Yeah, for me, the like you said, the richness is kind of fall off in a little bit, but it's still pretty complex cigar in the second third for me. I started getting well, the fig notes started to dissipate a little bit. I started to get I said at the final of the first third that star and anise had kind of gone away. It came back in the second third for me, so I got a little bit of that licoricey note that kind of was balanced by the coffee that we were talking about. Yeah, I totally dig what you're saying. A real nice earthy espresso kind of sprouted out in the second third. The black pepper on the nose and on the retrohale was still very prominent for me. The finish is becoming shorter and shorter on the retrohale, so it's definitely a more medium finish, bordering on short now. And the uh, the the interesting note that I noted from this second third was as you kind of finish the cigar and you're finishing the puff and you're like the retrohale is coming off in the end of that finish, I would be putting my tongue against my palate and I would get this very distinct, but not like overwhelming, but very distinct peanut note. So I'm getting a little bit of peanuts there on the back end. And then that leathery component's still there to kind of balance everything out too. So still balanced, still complex. Lost a lot of the richness, unfortunately. I'm hoping it kind of returns a little bit. Otherwise, this has the potential to get a little muddled. I think, and I'm a little worried about it, but I'm keeping an eye on it for the last third.
Yeah, I mean the same here. We didn't talk about this, but to me, it's more. I still think it's medium strength, medium bodied, and medium full of flavor. I'm kind of with you too. Like to me, the finish got a little bit shorter as well for me, but it still lingers around long enough to where I'm satisfied with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll finish off the cigar. We'll be back in a minute to let you know our final thoughts and our score. See you in a second.
And welcome everyone to the Smoking Syndicate cigar review. We are smoking the Tatuaje Avion 13 Tuxtla from Tatuaje Cigars, blended by Pete Johnson, manufactured at the My Father Cigar Company in a cigar factory in Nicaragua. It's a 6 7/8 by 52 Perfecto box press. And retails, was corrected earlier, by the way, Ben, Jay Davis, who would definitely know about this because he carried him for so long. The MSRP was actually $12.50, so I'll correct myself for the third time on this. MSRP is $12.50 on this particular cigar. And it was released June of last year, so these cigars are about a year old because he has not done a second release that we're smoking tonight. And we're wrapping up the cigar with our final third here and giving our final impressions on the final third and then our overall score. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, on the final third, to me, it's got a little bit more simplistic, but not in a bad way. So what I'm getting a lot of now, like to me, I'm that cocoa note has gotten stronger on the last third for me. I get earthiness, the leather, and the cedar still. And the black pepper is coming back a little bit more, but not a lot. I was expecting it to be a lot more in the final third, but to me, it's not. And all these flavors are so smooth. The age has done wonders for the cigar, I will say. And I liked it when it first came out. I really liked it when it first came out. But to me,
Mhm.
it's even better. It's better now than it was before. That cocoa note that I'm getting now too is a richer, deeper cocoa flavor for me. Like I equated it, or not equated it. When in the second, third, I said I got like that coffee bitterness. That to me, well, first thing that popped in my head was those chocolate covered espresso beans. I'm not really getting that so much now. It's almost like a really nice high end piece of chocolate you ate, right? I do get still that little bit of that coffee bitterness, but to me, they've almost separated them from themselves now. They're two distinct flavors now. It's and the biggest change for me was that the cocoa note has gotten richer and a deeper flavor on the final third than it did in the other thirds as well. The finish is still like medium short for me. I would still say medium body and strength with medium full and flavor. That's where I'm at now. What about you?
Was there a crescendo of flavor?
I wouldn't say it was a crescendo. I don't think it's a crescendo flavor.
Yeah, no crescendo of flavor for me either. The final third, as I'm wrapping up it right now, this interesting kind of minerality kind of has seeped into it with a little bit of saltiness too to kind of go along with the
Yep.
dissipating sweetness that's pretty much virtually gone at this point. Just enough to kind of balance it out so where the acridness, the acidity and the hotness by getting towards the end of the cigar isn't too distracting, but it's there. Um, Ironically, I've had a couple of construction problems here. I know we've been talking and everything, but well, not construction, but burn problems. I've had to relight the cigar in the final third a couple of times, which is a little annoying. Um, I had a relight in the first third too, which was crazy. But again, I kind of attribute that to the nature of the fact that we're doing this live. So I won't necessarily dock too many points off of it, but I think it's something of note. It has become a little bit more muddled. I talked about this being a worry for me, and as I ended the second third, the earthiness is kind of kicked up, that salty mineralness and everything. Still nice and complex, different flavors that I didn't enjoy in the first and second thirds, kind of creeping in. The nuttiness is still there, some peanuts and stuff like that, kind of sifting around and everything. So, um, but the final third kind of wrapped up a little to me. Definitely my least favorite third. Um, and the flavors kind of became a little bit muddled, not to the worrisome level that I was worried about it. I've had, like I said, this is my 11th one. I've had a little bit more of that muddled feeling the last third a few times, but the first and second third definitely carried this cigar for me. But those were my impressions of the last third.
Yeah, I agree with that. The saltiness, it's almost like that the feeling you get on your palate when you eat something with salt on it, like like a salted chip or something like that. The kind of like the salty kind of reaction that your palate has when you eat something with salty. I get that. Um, but I did have two relights, but I attribute them to me completely because they were during our segments where I was talking and I had to come back to it and it was barely lit. So that's on me. And other than that, I've had no construction problems. I mean, it's burning really, really well. Tons of smoke.
Yeah,
A lot of smoke too. I love that.
smoke up, it's good. Draw's been good. Uh, the burn got a little wonky a couple times, but it self-corrected, which was nice. Yeah. So, all right. So how do we do this, Ben? We do final overall thoughts and the score,
Well, we kind of did our overall thoughts. I'll tell you there. Let's. I think
or
we just
yeah,
do the. We can do the score.
just do the
Um.
score. Okay.
So to me, I'm gonna rate this a 90. I really enjoyed the cigar. I um, the flavor profile of it is really nice. I love the kind of the intermix of the sweet and savory notes. I really like the cocoa, the espresso, the cedar, even the earthiness. You know, I don't mind earthiness. I don't like it when it's overbearing, but I do like the hint of it, and this gave me that too.
Mhm.
The final of it with that kind of that the salty that you mentioned, um, kind of mingled well with kind of like the sweet cocoa-ness that I had at the end. Overall, I thought the cigar was really good. It's actually, I think it's my favorite. It's my favorite Tuxtla. I think. I was kind
Mhm.
of teetering between 90 91. If the final third had a little bit more going on, um, it would have definitely been a 91. But I think a 90 is that's what I'm gonna score it. What about you?
Yeah, I just put it down, just finished it up and everything. I think this is like consistent with the last couple of tatuajes I've smoked, where the final third is just kind of unfortunately brought this overall score down for me. But let's put this in perspective. A lot of people talk about how like I'm a little bit harder of a scorer and stuff like that. So let's just call it what it is. I'm scoring it at 89. I was fluctuated between an 88 and an 89. Um, it was probably going to be a 90 until I got to the last third, or it's probably going to be a high 89, 90 until I got to the last third. The flavors just became a little bit too metal for me. The last few puffs also just got a little bit too acrid for me too, and I think that's just by the nature of the cigar. The reason I smoked the cigar, and this is my 11th, as I mentioned, the reason I bought a box and everything is I really enjoyed it. Um, Outside of the cigar that I smoked a couple before I bought the box. I really enjoy the first and second thirds of the cigar. I think it's a really enjoyable smoke. It's really complex, uh, sometimes beautifully so. And it has this wonderful medium to full body that you were talking about, medium to full flavor. And the strength level is kind of is more on the I would say high mild to medium side. Like, it's not an overwhelming cigar to the palate. It doesn't hit you very hard. And it's like the first, second, third really carry this cigar for me. So for me, it's an 89. And I will absolutely smoke it again until I don't have any more, because I really enjoy the first, second, thirds. It's a great smoking experience.
Yeah, what was your out of the three thirds that we had? What was your favorite one?
Um, I really enjoy the first third. Even though I had a read light and everything, again, I attribute that to my just talking and stuff. But like, I really enjoy the first third. I love the way that the cigar starts off out the gate, and it just captures your attention. It's so rich, so decadent. The sweetness, which is completely absent in the final third, which is probably why I don't like the last third.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, the next few I smoke, I'll just probably ditch it at the first two thirds, because I enjoy those. Like I said, but the first third is definitely my favorite. What about you?
I'm kind of leaning towards the second third because the first third was really good. To me, it's like building up. It's like the rhythm is starting of the song, right?
Hmm.
And the second third is where it all just came together. And what really did it for me was I really liked that what I was calling the espresso bean, the chocolate covered espresso bean was fantastic. I love that flavor in any cigar. So
Hmm.
when I got to that, I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome. This is perfect." So to me, I like the second third more. Um, I was just because of that extra note that I got with that. It would just seem like all the other notes that we got in the cigar were real harmonious. It was really really a pleasant smoke. So to me, the second third was my favorite one, but the first third was banging too. I loved it. Really loved it.
Nice. Nice. Sweet.
So
Do
I think we covered that pretty good. So if you're watching this on YouTube after our live event here, please like, comment, and subscribe. And on that note, we'll see you next time.